The Lord be with you. A reading from the Holy Gospel according to Matthew. Now, this is how the birth of Jesus Christ came about. When his mother Mary was engaged to Joseph, but before they lived together, she was found with child through the power of the Holy Spirit. Joseph, her husband, an upright man, unwilling to expose her to the law, decided to divorce her quietly. Such was his intention when suddenly the angel of the Lord appeared in a dream and said to him, "Joseph, son of David, have no fear about taking Mary as your wife. It is by the Holy Spirit that she has conceived this child. She is to have a son, and you are to name him Jesus because he will save his people from their sins." All this happened to fulfill what the Lord had said through the prophet, "The virgin shall be with child and give birth to a son, and they shall call him Emmanuel," a name which means God is with us. When Joseph awoke, he did as the angel of the Lord had directed him and received her into his home as his wife. He had no relations with her at any time before she bore a son whom he named Jesus. The Gospel of the Lord. Let us all be seated. Today, we are still within the weekday of the third week of Advent. And the Gospel continues to teach us of the origin of Jesus Christ. Yesterday, we saw the human origin of Jesus Christ enumerated into 3 sets of 14 descendants. And we said that St. Thomas of Aquinas explained that the Gospel enumerated 3 sets of 14 descendants of Jesus Christ to teach us the 3 stages of the spiritual life through which all of us must undergo. The first stage is referred to as the stage before the law, that is, before we learn the commandments of God. The second stage is under the law, when we subject ourselves to the commandments of God. And the third is the era of grace, when we receive the grace of God after we have obeyed the commandments of God. It is this era of grace that brings us to heaven. And so we have to make sure we reach this third level or third degree portrayed in the generation or genealogy of Jesus Christ as a man. And then today's gospel continues from those generation of man which Jesus Christ underwent. And the gospel teaches us now that he is also a God. And so there is just one paragraph describing the divinity of Christ. And the gospel says, and there was a man called Joseph who had a betrothed whose name was Mary. And Mary was a virgin, and yet she gave birth to a God, not to a human person, but to a God. And so that is the proof that Christ is a God, that he was born of a human virgin, and only God can do that. And so the gospel tells us of the importance that we know that Mary was a virgin who gave birth to a God. As St. Thomas keeps on repeating, only God can do that. And the gospel precisely says, and this was done by the power of the Holy Spirit. It was an act of God of having a virgin give birth to a God. And the prophecy precisely says that what is found in the Old Testament, that a virgin would give birth to a son whose name is Emmanuel, which means God is with us. So a human virgin gives birth to a God, and that can only be done by God. And so that is the first proof we have that Jesus Christ is man and at the same time is God. This is the reason why the devil is so angry at the Blessed Virgin Mary and keeps on refuting the fact that she was a virgin who gave birth to a God. The news today is that so many people are destroying statues of the Blessed Virgin Mary, the latest of which was a beautiful statue, wooden statue of the Blessed Virgin Mary that was found later on chopped to pieces. And many statues of the Blessed Virgin Mary had been decapitated. Now, why should people hate so much a statue? You cannot imagine someone hating a statue. During the time of Our Lady of Guadalupe's appearance in Mexico and later on, what did they try to do? They tried to bomb the picture, the image of Our Lady of Guadalupe. Now, why would somebody try to destroy a picture, a harmless picture of a young mother who has done nothing? Because the Blessed Virgin Mary is the first proof that Jesus Christ is God. And so in the Old Testament, it has always been prophesied by the prophets through the instrumentation of God Himself that a virgin will give birth and the child will be called Emmanuel, which means God is with us. Not a man, but God is with us. Now, the picture of the Blessed Virgin Mary as the Mother of God is so important. But why does the Gospel for today mentions about Saint Joseph and emphasizing the importance of Saint Joseph. And Saint Thomas of Aquinas says, well, because Mary, with a child, is going to travel so much. Before the birth of Christ, Mary was supposed to travel to Bethlehem, and later on, under the threat of Herod, she had to fly to Egypt. Imagine traveling to a desert where there are no people, no water, no nothing, plain desert. How can a woman who is on the family way alone walk through that desert? So for that first reason, Joseph was needed by the Blessed Virgin Mary. Secondly, the greatest proof that Mary was the virgin of the prophecy that would give birth to Emmanuel was Joseph, the man who was espoused to her. Joseph, because he knew Mary so well, for Mary was living with him and so on, is the greatest proof that the Blessed Virgin Mary was a virgin. But the third reason is more important. The devil knew very well that the Messiah was going to be born to save mankind. He knew that. So the devil was waiting for the Messiah. He wanted to make sure that the Messiah will not be crucified, because he knew that if the Messiah was crucified, man's soul will be saved. He knew that very well. So the devil wanted to find out who the Messiah was in order to protect the Messiah, to make sure he is not crucified, so he can save mankind. And so he knew that the Messiah was going to be born of a virgin. So the devil had been waiting for a virgin to give birth. And so Saint Joseph had to pretend that he is the wife, that Mary was his wife, pretending that Mary is not a virgin, but an ordinary wife. So Joseph was shielding the fact that Mary was a virgin. And they fooled the devil. The devil never suspected Jesus was the son of a virgin, and so the devil moved Herod to crucify Christ, in which case Christ redeemed and saved mankind. So those are the three important reasons why Joseph was assigned as the foster father of Jesus Christ and protector of the Blessed Virgin Mary. It was so important that it is proven that Jesus Christ was God, but they have to hide from the devil the fact that Jesus Christ was the son of a virgin. So there you have the reason why the gospel for today is so important. Only those who believe that Mary is a virgin can believe that Jesus Christ is God. Because the prophecy says God will be born of a virgin, and his name is Emmanuel, meaning God is with us. So the same thing with us. So look today how so many people hate the Blessed Virgin Mary. All the Protestants are against the Blessed Virgin Mary. Even today, from the Vatican and from the Manila Cathedral, they praise the Blessed Virgin Mary as the best and most perfect disciple of Jesus Christ, which is true. But they do not want to say that Mary is the Virgin Mother of a God. And these are Catholics, calling Mary the best disciple, but never calling her the Virgin Mother of God. As long as you deny, therefore, the fact that Mary is the Virgin Mother of Christ, you will never believe that Christ is God. And so today, third week of Advent, as we are preparing for the birth of Christ, the lesson the Mass is teaching us is that child to be born or that was born 2,000 years ago is a man, seen by his genealogy, 14 descendants, 14 descendants, 14 descendants, but in one short paragraph, today's gospel shows that he is the son of a virgin, prophesied in the Old Testament. A virgin shall give birth, and his name is Emmanuel, not a man, but a God who will be with us. In the name of the Father, the Son, the Holy Spirit. Amen.